D, wait for it, light bulb.
Check out the name tag. You're in my world now, Grandma.
What's up, nerds? So, a little while ago, they dropped the first live-action trailer for Mulan, and I liked it. I hope you guys liked it too. If you got a chance to check it out, I'll leave this link there. Basically, what happened was I had mentioned that I wanted singing in the trailer, and then I had gotten into a discussion in the comments section down with a viewer, and we then continued our conversation through messaging. And in all honesty, after talking to them, I really didn't know that much about Mulan. So I decided to take the time to sit down and research Mulan, and I found it very interesting. I found it and enlightening also on top of that. Now I have to say, so for this video, what I'm going to do is I'm going to take the time to go through the history of Mulan. I'm gonna paraphrase everything and break it down so that way it's not this isn't a 30-minute video. But I just want to say real quick also that if I do get something wrong, or if I pronounce something wrong, I apologize. I'm not good at pronouncing names. I did look them up and everything, but I still might pronounce them wrong just because I'm not really good at that kind of stuff. Also, if I do get part of the story wrong, please don't get mad at me for it. But if you could just leave it in the comments section, and hopefully in a later video, like if another trailer drops or if something else, I can correct that and just, mention that I got it wrong or whatnot. So like I said before, what I'm going to do is I'm going to tell you the original story of Hua Mulan, and then I'm going to compare it to the Disney animated version and also the new live-action movie that's coming out. So, let's get down to business and explain Mulan. Anyways, so the first recorded story of Mulan emerged during the 4th century, and it is set in the Northern Wei dynasty. Now, the original story that Hua Mulan comes from is called The Ballad of Mulan. Now, it is a 62-line poem which explains this whole story of Mulan, and it took place over 10 years, so a whole decade. It took a decade, and I know in the original animated movie, it seemed that it only took like a couple of months or maybe like a year at most, but it did take 10 years. So in the original Mulan story, Mulan did not have a family name, a surname, and then she was given a family name of Hua in the 1500s by a famous Chinese playwright named Xiao Wei. I hope I'm saying that right. Which he titled this play, and this title is so great. It's called "The Female Mulan Joins the Army in Place of Her Father." So I mean that's a great title, because it probably took no time at all to make up that title. I will be using Xiao Wei's play to compare to the Disney animated movie and the live-action movie, because that's pretty much accepted by everyone. Now, the name Hua Mulan Hua means flower, and Mulan means magnolia. So that kind of makes sense, flower, magnolia, and everything. But in the Disney version, they changed her surname to Fa. Now, I looked it up, and Fa in Chinese means hair. I like Hua better because it just makes sense to be Hua. It's Hua. It just makes sense to be that because flower and magnolia is a flower and everything, and hair magnolia, it doesn't sound as good. Now for the live action movie, I'm not sure what they're going to give her as a surname. She might not have one. It might be Fa like the original, but I think Hua sounds better. Okay, so now in the beginning, in the original story, Mulan is weaving, and she's contemplating because her father has been conspired to fight in the war for the emperor. And during that time, Mulan, she takes no time whatsoever to get to business. She buys a horse, and she sets out to go join the army. In the Disney version, she's just sitting around crying. She also goes to, well, first she goes to see the matchmaker to set her up with a husband. And then when her father gets conscripted to fight for the army, she starts, she's crying, and she has that great song, Reflections. I love that song. It's one of my favorite Disney songs, princess songs. And then she decides to join the army. Now, in this movie, it looks like she's going to do the same as the animated movie, where she goes to see the matchmaker, and then she finally decides to go to join the army after her father gets conscripted. So, one small note, now, in the original story, she has a younger brother, and he is too young to go fight in his father's place, so that's why she joins also. In the Disney movie, she is given a dog. She doesn't have a little brother, but she's given a dog. You know what they named him?
Little brother!
And so, but it looks like in this live-action movie, she is getting a sister and not a little brother. Now, as far as sidekicks goes, in the original Mulan, she didn't have any sidekicks. Now, she did have a horse, but it wasn't really a sidekick, it's just her horse. And then I did, the person that I was talking to did say that they left in their comic books, in the comments, that she did have a bird. Now, I couldn't find anything suggesting that she had a bird, but if you know where it is, because I guess there's more than one telling of this story, but if you can find the one where she does have a bird, if you could please leave it in the comments section down below, a link so I could read it for myself. Now, in the Disney version, of course, they had a cricket, a horse, and the lovable Mushu, voiced by Eddie Murphy. Now, of course, in China, this took a comical kind of route, and people did not like it. Now, in this live-action movie, of course, she has her horse, and I don't think it's a sidekick, it's more like just her horse. And then there is a rumor that there will be a phoenix, so maybe that plays into the whole bird thing. Now, when she joins the army in the original Mulan story, she's experienced martial artist and adept to using many weapons, and she knows how to use more than just one. However, in the Disney version, she's very clumsy, doesn't know how to use any weapons, and she has to learn how to use them, and eventually she does. Now, in this live-action movie, it looks like they're going with the original storytelling, where she knows how to use at least a sword. You do see her fighting with a spear at one point, and she does know how to fire a bow and arrow. So then, moving on, she has the villain. Now, in the original story, the villain's name is Leopard Skin, and he is a rebel leader from the south, and he just wants to basically overthrow the emperor. Now, in the Disney version, his name is Shen Yu, and he is a Mongol. He's the leader of a Mongol horde, or the Huns, and they are just trying to overthrow the emperor also. Neither one of these two have a backstory, and I couldn't find any backstory as far as what their whole story was. But if you can find one, please leave the link. Now, in this live-action movie, there is going to be a witch. Now, and also an army, but I'm not sure if they're going to say that those are the Huns. But there's supposed to be a witch. She's been cast, and I'm not 100% sure how they're going to use that. It's very much Disney form to have a witch as the bad guy, so, I mean, it kind of makes sense, but at the same time, I'm not sure if that will be. I mean, in Chinese movies, they do have witches, so it might be. But in the person that I was talking to, they had mentioned that in China, there's no witches, but there are people that can put curses on you. So I'm not sure how that all works in there. So how do they defeat each villain? In the original story, Mulan just walks into his cave and arrests him. She arrests the leopard skin guy. That's it. That's the end of that story. In the Disney version, it doesn't take too much longer than that, but she fires, she hits him with some fireworks, and to destroy his army, she just shoots a cannon up into a mountain and causes an avalanche. Now, it looks like in this live-action movie, I'm not 100% sure how she's going to destroy the witch, but it does look like she, from the trailer, that they do destroy the army with an avalanche like they did in the animated movie. Now, of course, any story wouldn't be a story without a love interest, but in the original one, she did not have a love interest. She just had a character known as Captain Ping, and he is not her love interest, but he's just there to further along the story. In the Disney version, she has Li Sheng, Captain Sheng, and they end up together in the end. Now, I'm not sure in this live action movie if there will be a love interest. It does look like there's somebody there standing in line and she points a sword at his throat, and I'm assuming that that's her love interest, but in all honesty, I don't know. They could be going the original route where she does not have someone in her life. Now, as far as the ending goes, now in the ending for the original story, Mulan is escorted home by her fellow soldiers, and when she reveals herself to be a woman, they are not upset with her or feel betrayed or mad. In fact, they're kind of honored that she fought with them, and they love her just like you would any other soldier. She does end up getting married off to some random guy, like a neighbor or something like that. So that's a bummer. In the Disney, she ends up saving the Empire, and she ends up with Li Shang at the end, which is super happy and everything. Now, what they're going to do with this live-action version, I'm not 100% sure because the movie hasn't come out. But I have to say, like, if they do have her end up with somebody, great. If they don't, I'm not sure. So, in conclusion, as far as the Disney princess movies go, Mulan is probably one of the best. It's got fighting, romance, quirky characters, and a story about redemption and finding your place in the world. But the original story is arguably more interesting and more empowering to women. I have to say, reading about this story, it's very fascinating, and I suggest anyone to read it. And don't just go to Wikipedia. Wikipedia has just, like, facts and very, like, little facts. Like, it just tells you, boom, you're done. I would suggest going to some other sites and really reading up on this story. But I have to say, the original story is probably the best one because it does make Mulan sound like the badass that she was. I do love the Disney version, though. I have to say, even though I really want them to be, I want her to just at least sing Reflections. It's such a great song. It's one of my favorite Disney princess songs, and I think it's just so great. But I mean, if they don't, it's fine. But even if they sang it in Chinese, I would love that. That'd be great. So, tell me, did I enlighten any of you to the Hua Mulan story, the original story? People that are Chinese and they know this story well, did I do it justice? I know I paraphrased it, but I did at least do an adequate job. Go ahead and leave your comments in that section down below. I would be grateful for your comments. If you like this video, go ahead and hit that like button. If you're new to my channel, please hit that subscription button. I would greatly appreciate it. And I will see you guys later. Bye!